This program is sponsored by Zad Group.
Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اهتدى بهديه واستنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to this new episode of Ask Huda, being broadcasted to you live from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. And you will see, inshallah, as you see on the monitor, the numbers where you can get in touch for your questions and queries, inshallah. Uzma, or Uzma, says, what constitutes a Muslim or a non-Muslim country? Only a name like Islamic Jamhuriyah or Sultanate Islami, or actual Islamic values of experiencing religious rights freely of whatever you believe in. The issue of distributing or segregating countries to be countries of Islam and countries of non-Muslims, Darul Islam and Dar al-Kufr, as they call it. And also there is Darul Harb, which is the countries that waging war against us. And there is the countries of Al-Ahd, the countries that we have a sort of treaty between us. These things were not clearly mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah. And it came far after the time of the Prophet ﷺ and the companions, may Allah be pleased with them all. Maybe there's one or two a slight mentioning of it when the Prophet, for example, or the companions mentioned Medina to be Dar al-Hijrah and the Dar of al-Muhajirin, the migrants, which indicates that Mecca was at the time Dar al-Kufr. Later on, jurors and scholars started disputing upon the issue of what constitutes and what makes a country an Islamic country, or it makes it a kafir country. So some looked at the ruling party and the government and the imam, and they said that if the imam was Muslim and he was implementing Islamic laws, in this case, even if the majority of the inhabitants of that country were non-Muslims, the country is labeled as Islamic country. Others said no, this is not the fact. The fact that governs the issue is that the majority of the Muslims there, or the majority of inhabitants are Muslims, and that they are able to practice and express their religion. So, and each party gave an evidence on that topic. For example, when the Prophet ﷺ used to raid a village or a town or a city, he would do this at night time and refrains until he hears the adhan. If he doesn't hear the adhan of Fajr, he goes ahead. And also the instruction of not raiding a village or a city if there's a masjid or if the adhan is being called. So this is one of the evidences for those who support the second opinion, which says that as long as the majority of the inhabitants or the citizens are Muslims and they're practicing their religion and they are showing the rituals, which is the most important ritual of all is Salat. And it's a huge dispute among scholars on how to differentiate. Some scholars said that there is a middle ground, like Ibn Taymiyyah, for example, when he was asked about the city of Mardin. And he said that this is in between, because the inhabitants there are Muslims, but it is ruled by kafir. So he says the Muslim has to be treated as a Muslim. His blood, his wealth, his life, his religion is protected. We cannot attack him. But at the same time, those who go against the Sharia, those who implement and enforce laws other than the law of Allah Azza wa Jal, must be fought and must be treated as such. So he made it into somewhere in between due to the complexity of the issue. Nevertheless, you should not be worried about asking such a question, because this is way above our pay grade. This is an issue of political fiqh, and it's not something for the individuals to know about. And the problem with asking such question is that those usually who ask such a question would like to act upon the answer. So if we say that, okay, if the Sharia law is not being implemented, even if the majority were Muslims, then it's a kafir country. Like the Jama'ah of Khawarij, of Shukri Mustafa, for example, in Egypt, about 30 years, 40 years ago, they were known as At-Takfir wal-Hijra. And they said that Egypt is a kafir country because it's not ruled by Islam. Hence, all those living there are kafir, and then we can kill them, we can take their money. And they used to rob jeweler shops, and they used to do heinous acts because of their misunderstanding because of their deviancy. This is something that only the top rulers of the Muslim countries to deal with. This is an issue that they only can deal with. For example, if we see someone committing fornication, should we flog him if he's unmarried or stone him if he is married? No, this is not for us. If someone steals, should we amputate his hand? It's not for us, it's for the ruler. Likewise, if he drinks intoxicants, should we flog him and punish him? No. This is not for us. It is for the ruler, and likewise, such a question, and Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best. Aliyah from Saudi? Aliyah?
Yeah, assalamu alaikum.
Salamullah?
Yeah, Sheikh, I have 2 questions.
Yes.
I have recently joined the Islamic Institute here in Riyadh, and we have some Quran classes also. So what I see in my Quran classes is that sisters around me, they used to touch the Quran, they used to carry the Quran without wuzu. So when I asked them, they told me that it is allowed to touch the Quran without wuzu until and unless they are not in the major impurity. In the state of major impurity only they are not allowed to touch the Quran, otherwise they can touch the Quran. So I want to know about the rulings. Can we touch the Quran without wuzu for our classes or like that? And also, I have doubt about this, so I don't used to carry the whole Quran with me. What I do is, we are reading the 30th juz there, so I used to carry the 30th juz only. So I want to know about the rulings on this also. Are the rulings for ruling of touching the Quran, the whole Musaf, and touching the juz are same? Am I obliged to be in the wuzu if I'm touching the only one of the part of the Quran, like juz 30 I used to carry with me? I want to know this.
Okay, I will answer your question, inshallah. Lubna from the Emirates?
Yes, sir.
Your question, please.
Yes, I'm alhamdulillah, I'm Muslim. I'm going through such hardship, and I want to know what's the best way, because I feel like there's no way out.
Okay. I will answer you, inshallah.
Thank you.
Aliya's question about touching the Mus'haf, the copy of the Quran, without being in the state of wudu. The majority of scholars say that you have to touch the Quran while you are in the state of wudu. However, there are some scholars such as Ibn Hazm, such as Sheikh al-Albani, who say that this is not based on sound and strong and authentic evidence from the Quran or from the Sunnah. And they refuted all these evidences that the scholars have based their argument upon. And their argument is quite valid. The opinion of Sheikh al-Albani and Ibn Hazm before him, their argument is quite valid. However, we fail to go against the majority of Muslims, because it is always best to be safe rather than sorry. So I don't have the guts to come and say, yes, it's okay, based on their arguments. But I feel that it would be wiser, it would be safer to always refrain from touching the mushaf, whether it's one juzu or the full thing, without being in the state of wudu. And alhamdulillah, nowadays, with these electronic gadgets available to everyone, you can download a copy of the Quran on your mobile, on your iPad, on your PDA, on your computer, and you can carry that and read it and study the Quran from it, even if you are in the state of impurity that is not major but minor, such as you're not on the state of wudu. So I hope this helps. Bashwak from Saudi.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salamullah.
I have some questions. One.
Yes.
How can I ascertain that I'm clean after my normal flow of mercy stop? That okay, I'm okay to take ghusl. How can I be sure? Is it when I still check and see that it's still stained, I'll wait until it's clean before I have ghusl?
Okay.
Then reading Quran during mercies, is it allowed? If it is not from the Quran, but maybe on my phone or my tablet, is it allowed?
Okay. Any more questions?
Yes. Can a woman be on low cut?
Can a woman be?
On low cut, barb her hair. On low cut.
I don't understand.
As in, a woman, can you barb her hair? As in, don't want to plait your hair, you cut it. Is it permitted?
You shorten your hair, you cut your hair short?
Yes.
Okay.
Can a woman do that?
Okay. Any more questions?
Then finally, Sheikh, can you please briefly describe the outward appearance? What is the outward appearance of a woman, as in the hijab, how it's supposed to look like, and all those are the ideal one, please.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Sheikh.
You're welcome. Iruj from Saudi.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salamullah.
I have two questions.
Yes.
One is, what is the definition of the word ijtihad, and when do we use this term? And secondly, the second question is related to the description that you gave about Darul Kufr and Darul Muslimin. Sometimes our family members force us to move to the West, just like in the sense that although the ruler over there is not Muslim, but the Muslims over there living in the West are practicing Islam much better than they do in Pakistan or in the subcontinent. So they say that it's up to you whether when you have to practice the deen, you can practice it there as well. And you have the other facilities. As always, they have this argument or to this say.
Okay.
So the thing is that how do we tell them that no, are we allowed to live there or we are not allowed to live there? Or what's the ruling on this?
Okay, I will answer inshallah.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. I think we have Aliya from Saudi.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. I had two more questions, sorry. Yeah, one is one of my friends from India asked me to pose this question to you, that they have this thing in India that when the azan for Maghrib is going on, the elders in our home used to say that we are not supposed to sleep or even lie down when the azan for the Maghrib is going on. They say it's not allowed to lie down or sleep. If someone is sleeping, they used to wake him up that it's the azan of Maghrib. And if someone is lying, they used to wake him up to at least sit or stand because azan is going on. So I want to know the rulings on this. And also about, is it compulsory to cover the head for women during the azan? If azan is going on and I'm at home, no mahram is around me, so can I be like what I am, or I have to run to catch something to cover my head with it? And second question is, I want to know about this hadith I recently came across, which says that saying Allahumma azarni minan nar 7 times after Fajr and Maghrib before speaking to anyone. I used to do this every time, but recently I came to know that it's not an authentic hadith, and from Al-Silsila Al-Daifa by Sheikh Albani, he said that it's not authentic. So I want to know about this particular hadith. Are we supposed to say this Allahumma azarni minan nar 7 times after Fajr and Maghrib Salah or not?
Okay, I will answer your questions, inshallah.
Yeah.
Lubna from the Emirates asked a generic question. She said that she is going through some problems and stress, and she wants a solution for that. Unfortunately, Lubna, it's not a pill that you can take or an injection that would solve all your problems. It's a way of life. It's a conviction. It's a strong belief that resonates all around you whenever there is a problem or a stressful moment. Once you believe that whatever is going to take place and whatever took place, all of this was preordained by Allah Azza wa Jal. 50,000 years before He created the creation, you will feel relieved. There's nothing you can do. There's a calamity that is coming my way. I am in the middle of that tornado of stress. What to do? Feel calm. Isn't Allah Azza wa Jal the facilitator for all? Isn't Allah the Almighty, the one who in His hands everything in this universe, the one that we see and the one that we do not see? Doesn't Allah Azza wa Jal control everything, every single particle in this universe? The answer is yes. Then why should I worry? As long as I am doing well with Allah Azza wa Jal, and this is Allah's will for me, then I should be calm and satisfied. This doesn't mean that I should not pray to Him and ask Him to relieve me from my stress and calamity. This does not mean that I should not take the means to solve this problem that I'm in. No, Allah tells you to work and to plan and to act upon what you think is the best thing while your heart is connected with Allah Azza wa Jal. The more stressful you are, the more you should recite the Quran, read in it, ponder upon it. أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبِ. Allah tells us that the tranquility and the calmness of the hearts can only be attained by remembering Allah, and the best form of remembering Allah is reading the Quran. So never ever feel alone. You're not alone. Allah is always there for you. Never ever feel despaired of Allah's mercy, because Allah's mercy is just round the corner. This is an understatement. Allah's mercy is everywhere. It's surrounding you. We are plunged into it, whether we know it or not, because all what we are in is from the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal. It always could have been worse. So always think and look at the positive side of this calamity. And subhanallah, so many times these calamities draw us closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. Before a calamity or a stressful situation took place, I was so far from Allah and I was so negligent. But the moment it took place, I started praying, I started worshipping Allah, I started remembering Allah Azza wa Jal, and Allah Azza wa Jal would be pleased with you for that. So keep up the good work, and may Allah Azza wa Jal make it easy for all of us. Bashwak from Saudi Arabia, first question: how would a woman recognize her purity after the flow of menses? The scholars say that there are two ways. One, either she sees after the bleeding and the blood stops what is known as the white thread discharge. And this, she sees it without any other colored discharge with it. So this is one way of doing it. The other way, or the other means of finding out your purity, is when a woman does not see the blood anymore, is not having any blood, and she's not having any colored discharge. So the moment she ends her period, which is 6 or 7 days, and the blood stops, and this is known as dryness. And the moment that she finds dryness, whenever she answers the call of nature or does what women usually do, in this case, this is a sign for her purity. She should take ghusl. Muhammad from the UK.
Hello.
Yes, Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salamatullah. Muhammad.
In that, 4,000 of pilgrims are being killed.
Wallahi, Muhammad, I don't understand your question. Your question was cut off. Okay, I think we lost Muhammad. Bishwak asks, what's the ruling on cutting the hair of a woman? The answer is, this is permissible providing that she is not imitating men. Nowadays, women have these weird haircuts where if you look at her, she has the same length, well, if you can say, the same shortness of the hair as men. And this is totally prohibited because the Prophet ﷺ had cursed women who imitate men, and he had cursed men who imitate women. So if she cuts her hair in a normal hairstyle that does not resemble men, and it is not specifically for women, kafir women that is. Yani for example, a singer that comes and shaves one side of her hair, leaving the other side falling on her face like a dog, and we have a Muslim woman who wants to imitate this. This is haram. This is definitely haram because imitating the kuffar makes a person part of it and makes that person one of them. So this is not permissible, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. Abdul Nasser from Libya.
Sheikh, salamu alaikum.
Salatullah.
May Allah bless you, Sheikh.
Jazakallah khair.
I had a friend, and my friend, he's a Christian friend, and we are working together in the same company. So every time he used to come to my room for discussing, and I tried to invite him to Islam. Anytime he came to me, I tried to find some good way to invite him to Islam, until one day he was in my room when he saw the Daesh people, the surrender the Christians, and he started crying, and he left my room with crying. So he asked me that, Abdul Nasser, so why we the Muslims, we forgot that the time our prophets came, during our first Islam in Mecca, our prophet told the Muslims to immigrate to Ethiopia, and it was a Christian king of Najashi. He protected the Muslims. Why now you are killing our brothers? In fact, I was nearly weeping with how he saw the action. Later on, he came to me that he wants to read Quran. So I was very happy when he told me that. Now, I want to know which translation of Quran is good to give to him so he can know what is Islam. I'm very happy when he came back to me because last time he came to my room, when he met you, you give a speech concerning our prophet when one non-Muslim urinates most of Rasul, and he was forgiven. So he was very happy that very day when he gave that advice to Muslims that our Rasul man of compassionate. So now, Sheikh, I want to know which translation of Quran is better for me to give to him. So maybe he can accept Islam, inshallah.
I will answer, inshallah. Alaikum salam wa barakatuh. Bishwak's fourth question about how should a woman look externally. There isn't any specific way that a woman is told to look like when she goes out, except that she must not wear something that is attractive or that is tight or that is see-through or that is resembling men or resembling the disbelievers, women. So the sky is the limit. However, there is a norm among Muslims. So a woman, when she goes out, she is supposed to conceal her beauty. She is supposed to not attract men to herself, because this is totally prohibited and it's not permissible. This defies the purpose of hijab. So if a woman comes out from her home wearing an abaya or anything that is like that, and it has a Versace picture this big at the back, and it is tight on the waist, and it has so much colorful things on the sleeves, even if she is, Miss Ugliness, people would still be attracted to what she's wearing and look at her. And this kind of drawing attention is not part of Islam. This is not part of the actual hijab of a Muslim woman. So if you look at these descriptions and points and put them into consideration, inshallah, this would answer your call. Amir from Bahrain. Amir.
Assalamualaikum, Sheikh.
Salamtullah.
Sheikh, I have a question.
Yes.
Sheikh, in our company, we are praying all the prayers without sunnah.
Okay.
Is it possible for them to pray all the prayers even though they are praying as a qaza?
What do you mean?
Without sunnah?
What do you mean as a qaza?
Means that in our office we are praying the first.
Okay. So where is the qada? Are they praying it on time or after Asr?
After the time.
After Asr time.
Means that if the first, if the mosque has the time 1 o'clock, we are praying at 1:30 or 1:40.
Okay. I will answer you, inshallah. Any more questions?
Nothing else.
Okay. I will answer, inshallah. Bishwak's question was, what's the ruling on reading the Quran from for a woman in her menses? There's no problem, inshallah. If she reads it from an iPad, from her mobile phone, this is permissible, inshallah. Muhammad from Saudi Arabia.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. How are you, sir?
Alaikum salam wa barakatuh. Yes, akhi.
Hey, sir. One father has 2 wives and he has total 9 children. He has given property to 2 children of his first wife and 2 children to his second wife. It's in Europe. He has registered the property on their name. Now, the problem is the second wife's one of the son is claiming that this property falls under his father's estate, and he wants the division to 9 people, 4 other sisters, 5 sisters, or other 4, 5 sisters. So he had made a power of attorney signed by his father when he was terminally ill. He has no senses. He took his signature that this property is for 9 people. So is it permissible in Islam that father can claim back the property from the children he has already given gift? I want this one to answer.
Okay, I think I understand.
This is in Europe. This property is in Europe, and the first children, 2 children have filed a case against their step brother, the second wife's, second son. So they have already spent more than 1.75 million, equivalent to 1.75 million reals in the case. The case is going to be closed very soon. And the lawyers are saying that the father's intention was to give it to 9 people.
The father is alive?
Yeah, father died, and he before died, the property was, actually the property was bought a long time back, 2-3 decades before, and later on when father came to his senses, he cancelled the power of attorney, everything, all the power of attorneys, on which one of the second wife's son has taken the signature by force, that he want to have all the property. He don't want to give to his first wife's children the same property.
Okay.
So the power of attorney was already cancelled by the father.
I will answer you, inshallah.
So this is one. Thank you. Nothing more. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Shamsuddin from Saudi.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, I have one small confusion actually. Some of my friends are saying that in Salatul Janazah, do we really require to recite Surah Fatiha after first takbir? Or some other region, they said that there is no need to recite Surah Fatiha, and which is in conflict with the Sahih Hadith that there is no prayer if you will not recite Surah Fatiha. Can you please clarify this issue?
I will, inshallah. I will.
Jazakallah khair.
Wa jazak, hayyakallah. We have a short break. Stay tuned, and inshallah, we'll be right back.
Zad's Group present to you 3 of the best versions for Sheikh Muhammad Saleh Al-Munajjid in English language. How he treated them. Interaction of the greatest leader, the Pilgrim's Provision. For more information, please visit one of those websites.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. That was really short break. Iruj from Saudi Arabia, she says, what's the meaning of ijtihad? Ijtihad is an Islamic terminology which means that a person exerts effort, does his very best to reach a conclusion in an Islamic issue. So this is usually given to scholars, to the rulers. The Prophet said, إِذَا اجْتَهَدَ الْحَاكِمِ, if the governor, if the ruler, and also the scholar, would to make ijtihad, would to exert his utmost effort, and he succeeds in his opinion, he's rewarded twice. But if he does this, and does not succeed in reaching the truth, he did his best, but his choice was wrong, then he's rewarded once. So he's rewarded in both ways. Even if he takes the wrong approach, or let me rephrase that, if he reaches the wrong decision by Allah Azza wa Jal. But he made his best, and his best was not good enough, he's rewarded for exerting the effort with one reward. So this is ijtihad. But ijtihad cannot be done by laymen. You cannot come to a very big problem and you need to ask scholars about it. You need to go to someone of knowledge to ask about it, and you simply don't do that. You just, look at the ceiling and start counting the sheep, and then you say, no, I think I'm going to take this opinion. This is not ijtihad. This is cherry picking. This is doing what you think is best for you and that would serve your interest. No. Ijtihad has to be done by those who are qualified, who possess command of the Arabic language, have knowledge of the Quran, nasikh mansukh, am, khas, mutlaq, muqayyad, who have knowledge in the Sunnah, in the different opinions of scholars of fiqh, of usul al-fiqh. These are the people who are qualified to make ijtihad. Abdurrahman from Gambia.
Yes, hello.
Yes, Abdurrahman.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, my question is dreadlocks. The dreadlocks in the ear in Islam. Is it permissible for men and women? That's my question.
To do what, akhi?
Dreadlocks.
Dreadlocks of the hair.
The dreadlocks, yes.
Okay.
Is it permissible? Is it accepted in Islam?
Okay, I will answer you, inshallah. Muhammad from the Emirates.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salamullah.
Sheikh, how are you?
I'm fine, Zakallah khair, Muhammad.
Brother, I have one question. My father, he is 85 plus, mashallah, and he do his prayers, and sometimes he has a prostate problem. So sometimes he complains that during his salah, he feel that he drop 1 or 2 drops of urine during his pray. So he is asking me, he has to pray again, wudu again, and he has to change the clothes and do the pray again and again, or just advise me on that one, please.
I will, inshallah. Ibrahim from Saudi.
Hello, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu wa barakatuh.
I have one question. That is, I am repeatedly getting whispers from the shaitan. Like whenever I am trying to pray the salah with concentration, I have more whispers and I cannot concentrate in the salah. I do the morning and evening askar, alhamdulillah, and also read the Quran daily. What will be the reason behind? Like, I don't know.
I will answer you, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair.
Wa jazak. Okay, I think maybe we have to wait and hold the calls because we have so many questions. Iruj says that her family, some members forced them to migrate to kafir countries, saying that living in such countries of Europe, for example, you get freedom, you get justice, more than what you do in Pakistan or in other Muslim countries. So is this justifiable? How can we answer them back? It is very simple. The Prophet ﷺ forbade Muslims to travel to non-Muslim countries to live there. And he announced that he has nothing to do with Muslims who travel to live among the kafir, where their fires can be seen from each one's place. Meaning that they're so close and they're so friendly that they have no boundaries within them. Now, this is the general rule. It is prohibited for a Muslim to live among the disbelievers, because you will lose your Iman, you will lose your Islam. And we see the Muslims, the majority, the bulk of the Muslims living in the US, in Europe, in non-Muslim countries, where they have been slowly diluted, and they're being dissolved in the melting pot of that culture. And if they maintain their religion, the majority of their children will fail to do this. And they will lose their heritage, they will lose their Iman, they will lose their language. And soon they will be like these kafir. So this is the general trend. However, there are exceptions. If someone is being prosecuted, or his country is so evil that they are pursuing to put him in jail and his family, or to kill him, or to do something that, and he is unable to get a place or a visa to live in a Muslim country, in that case, then this is a case by case to be judged. Aliya says, we have a belief that at the time of Adhan al-Maghrib, if someone is lying down or asleep, he must be woken up, and if he's lying down, he must sit straight. Otherwise, something evil would happen, or rizq would not come his way. All of this is nonsense. This is baseless. You can sleep, you can lie down, you can hang from your feet upside down. It's up to you. Adhan of Maghrib has nothing to do with all of these things. And she asks, do I have to cover my hair as a woman and wear the hijab when the adhan is being called? No, this is an innovation. This is a fabrication that is mainly found in the Indian subcontinent, and it has no basis in Islam, none whatsoever. And I don't know where these people get their religion from. We have the Quran, we have the Sunnah. It's for everybody. It's not for the Arabs only. Go and look into the Quran and Sunnah, and you will not find anything that relates to this. She says that the ruling on saying, Allahumma ajirni min an-nar 7 times. Oh Allah, protect me from hellfire 7 times after Fajr and Maghrib. And oh Allah, I ask you paradise 7 times. The hadith is weak. Shaykh al-Albani has graded this hadith to be not authentic. However, the authentic hadith is to ask Allah for paradise 3 times and to seek refuge from hellfire 3 times. Is it after Fajr and Maghrib? No. It is given generally speaking without specifying a particular time for it. So you can do it any time of the day. Abdel Nasser from Libya, he says that he has a friend who is Christian, and that it's a long story about him seeing that some Muslim terrorists attack the non-Muslims, and these are a minority, akhi. Tell your Christian friend not to be deceived by what the media is showing. How many terrorists, extremists, Khawarij are killing the Muslims? A handful here and a handful there. But how many organized killings and genocides and massacres from these so-called civilized countries, whether it is US or Europe or Russia, what they're doing with the Muslims, and nobody's speaking out. Nobody's talking. This is a massacre. This is hatred. This is genocide. In Syria, you see that airplanes are bombarding the regime's airplanes and choppers. The Russian airplanes are killing civilians. They're not killing terrorists, they're killing civilians. And yet you'd fail to see the US or the European community saying that we want to implement a no-fly zone like Turkey is asking for. This is the least you could do, is to implement a no-fly zone so that you would stop this genocide that is taking place. He provide the mujahideen with anti-aircraft missiles, ground to air or whatever they call them, the stingers that they had like 40 years ago in Afghanistan. Give them something like this to defend themselves. But it is not the Muslims that are killing others. It is the others who are collaborating to kill the Muslims, and they are collaborating with these deviant sects like the Khawarij and promoting them and financing them so that they would cause such a stir. May Allah Azza wa Jal help the Muslims and the Mujahideen everywhere. As for the translations, the best of translations is Sahih International. There are some bits and pieces here and there, but generally speaking, it's one of the best, inshaAllah. Amir from Bahrain says that in his company they pray the prayers, the 5 daily prayers, without praying the Sunnah. Is this permissible? The answer is yes. They've lost great reward, but the prayer is valid. You remember the nomad who came to the Prophet ﷺ, and he asked him about what Allah has mandated upon them. And the Prophet said, 5 daily prayers. The man said, and nothing else? The Prophet said, nothing else unless you want to offer voluntary prayers. The man said at the end of the hadith, by Allah who had sent you with this truth, I will do what you had said without adding a single thing. Meaning he will only pray 5 prayers a day. And the Prophet said that he is a man of Jannah, that he is a man of success if he's truthful in what he says. So this means that the voluntary prayers are recommended, but they are not mandatory. As for delaying the Dhuhr prayer after the Iqamah of the masjid, of course the best scenario is for you to pray in the masjid. Because as a man, this is the obligation upon you. But if this is not possible due to work constraints or due to distance or any other legitimate reason, then you may pray in the masjid, in your company with the congregation, providing that the time of a prayer does not end. And the time of Dhuhr prayer ends when the adhan of Asr is called. So, alhamdulillah, you have no problem with that. Muhammad from Saudi Arabia says, there's a dispute among the 2 families. So a man has 2 wives and he has 2 children, male from this wife and 2 male from that wife, and 5 daughters. And there he made a mistake by writing the property to each of the 2 sons differently than the others, depriving the girls from their right. Now this kind of transaction, call it a will or whatever, is void, because it is haram upon an individual to differentiate in giving any of his offspring. So in the hadith of Al-Bashir ibn Sa'd, may Allah be pleased with him, when he gave his son An-Nu'man a gift, a property, his mother said, no, I will not accept this for my son until you go and make the Prophet your witness, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he went to the Prophet and he told him, O Prophet of Allah, I gave An-Nu'man, my son, this property, and my wife said so and so. So the Prophet asked him a specific question. Did you give all of your children the same gift, equivalent to it, that is? And Bashir says, no. So the Prophet said, I do not witness injustice. Fear Allah and be fair to all of your children. And the scholars say that from this we understand that specifying 1 or more of your children with gifts and depriving the others is totally prohibited and haram. So the problem is that they are in Europe, and Europe does not implement the Islamic Sharia. So if there is a possibility that the 2 families reconcile and come together and say, listen, the properties that were given to us were unlawful or unlawfully given. So in order to rectify this, we will, all of us, the 2 wives and the 5 children, would share everything that my father had left behind. If they reach this conclusion, alhamdulillah, this is the best for their father to rest in his grave. As for the son who took his signature through the power of attorney unlawfully or forcefully, this guy is going to be punished in hell for a long time if Allah does not forgive him, because he had committed a major sin by disrespecting his father, by lying, by cheating, by being undutiful to his parent, and his father died while being angry with him. This is not the right way to rectify it. You cannot deprive your brothers from their share in your property, as they cannot deprive you and your sisters and brothers from your share in their property, and this has to come to an end. Muhammad from Saudi Arabia is the one who we just mentioned his question. Shamsuddin says that in Salat al-Janaza, is reciting the Fatiha a pillar? The answer is yes, definitely. Reciting the Fatiha in every Salat is a pillar. The exception is when the Imam is reciting loud Salat, such as the 2 rak'ahs of Fajr, of Maghrib, and of Isha. The first 2 rak'ahs, in this case, it is not mandatory upon the ma'mum to recite it. He can simply listen and he does not have to recite it. But if he does, alhamdulillah, this is good. For Salat al-Janazah, for funeral prayers, it is a must. This is what the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, and this is how they described to us, as it was reported by, if I'm not mistaken, Ibn Abbas or Abu Hurairah, I forgot, who used to recite it loudly. The Fatiha, then the salutation to the Prophet ﷺ, then the dua, then the salam. He used to recite it loudly so that people would learn what to say in it. Abdurrahman from Gambia says, what's the ruling on having dreadlocks? If these dreadlocks do not prevent water from reaching your scalp when performing ghusl, because this is a must. If it does not prevent you from allowing the water to reach your scalp when performing ghusl, and you can wash it, and there is no imitation of the kuffar, in this case, it is permissible. However, to me personally, I don't live in Africa, but I've seen people from Jamaica, I've seen people from different countries wearing these dreadlocks, and they do not look to be Muslims. This is un-Islamic. This is not part of the Muslims' culture or from the Muslims' way of dressing. So the minute you see a woman or a man having these dreadlocks, and it's so long, and it's so dirty, and it's so repulsive, you don't think that this brother is a Muslim. Sometimes we are shocked to see the brother coming into the masjid and praying. And mashallah, he's a good Muslim. Akhi, if you are as you want to be, you should segregate yourself from imitating the kuffar. You have to have your own identity as a Muslim, and by having these dreadlocks, you're not doing a good job, and Allah knows best. Muhammad from the Emirates says that his father is 85 years old, and he has a problem with his prostate, and whenever he prays, he feels like dripping urine. Akhi, your father, may Allah reward him, has reached an age where Allah Azza wa Jal honors this age when a person is praying and is steadfast on Islam. May Allah Azza wa Jal prolong his life on health, iman, and make his ending and ours a good ending, inshallah. If your father is continuously dripping, and this is a fact, it's not something that he feels it, but he's actually dripping throughout the whole day and the night, in this case, he is exempted from keeping himself pure all the time, because this is an ongoing process. And in this case, the scholars say that once the adhan of the particular prayer is called for, he has to go and change, perform wudu, wash himself, perform wudu, and he is allowed to pray, to read the Quran, to do whatever he wants from the adhan to the second adhan. Even if something comes out, even if he drips, or a urine of drip, a drop of urine comes out, there's no problem, because this is an ongoing process. But if it's just a feeling that he's getting and there isn't anything to prove that it's happening, he should ignore it. he should not pay any attention to it. Once he urinates, he should sprinkle his private parts and sprinkle his underwear with water. So once he goes out, if he feels any wetness, he convinces himself that this is from the water I sprinkled, because there is no proof that anything is coming out. Ibrahim says that the wiswas in the salat, she gets a lot of wiswas in salat and she doesn't know how to fight it. Well, she observes the adhkar in the morning and the evening, and she recites the Quran. The scholars say that we have struggled with prayer for 20 years, and then we've enjoyed it for the following 20 years. It doesn't come overnight. You have to work hard on learning your deen, knowing Allah's beautiful attributes, not moving in prayer, not being occupied by worldly matters when you face Allah in prayer. There are a number of things that you have to do in order to empty your mind and heart when you pray, knowing that Allah Azza wa Jal has everything in His hands. So you don't need to worry about what you are getting. Inshallah, this would help you concentrate. Maryam says, is blank Quran without any ayah one of the signs of the Qiyamah? I don't know about the blank Quran, but the hadith of Ibn Mas'ud and other companions and the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that there will come a time at the end of time when Allah Azza wa Jal uplifts the Quran from the chest of the men, meaning that they would not memorize any single ayah, and every letter would be taken out from the mushaf, from the copies of the Quran. So maybe this is an indication that the Quran would be blank, with there are no letters in it, but it was not mentioned as such. But yes, this is an authentic sign of the Day of Judgment approaching. Ibrahim says, is it an innovation to say Bismillah before saying the dua? Is it an etiquette to praise Allah with His names and say the durood or the salutation of the Prophet ﷺ before the dua? He wants to know so that he would avoid any innovation. The answer is yes. Saying Bismillah before every important thing is part of the Sunnah. Even Imam Nawawi said that the majority of scholars have agreed that saying Bismillah before writing a letter, like in the case of Sulaiman when he wrote to the Queen of Sheba, he said, إِنَّهُ مِن Sulaiman wa innahu Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So writing Bismillah is okay. The Prophet ﷺ, when he wrote to the Byzantine ruler at the time, and to the all different rulers and kings of the emperors around, the empires around him, he began by writing Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And the hadith, which the scholars differed whether it's authentic or not, that everything that has value, that is not begun with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, or is not begun with Dhikrillah Azza wa Jal, then it is amputated. And the most authentic opinion is it's a strong and valid hadith. As for praising Allah and offering the salutation of the Prophet on the Prophet ﷺ, the hadith, authentic hadith, stated that whoever does not do this has hastened. And the Prophet told us that without offering salutation to the Prophet ﷺ, your dua is blocked. It would not reach the heavens. So this is part of the Sunnah. Shazia says that combining Asr with Jum'ah, is it possible? And somebody told them, no, it's not possible. They prayed Jum'ah, they prayed Friday prayer in Jeddah, and they went to Medina. Someone told them that as you leave the borders of Medina, though it's not Asr time, once you leave Medina borders, you may pray Asr 2 rak'ahs. This is wrong. You cannot combine with Jum'ah al-Asr, and definitely you cannot leave such a gap between it and do it afterwards. And Sarah says, I'd like to know if one can fast nawafil on Saturdays. The answer is no. If it's a prescribed nawafil like Ashura or like Arafah or like skipping a day and fasting a day, this is permissible. But if it's general voluntary nawafil, this is not permissible. And finally, an anonymous questioner says that when the parents die, if the child does something wrong, would they be punished for it? The answer is no. Everyone is punished for what he had done. If the parents tried their level best to upbring their children to be righteous and good, and the children did not, then this is not the problem of the parents. Whatever evil things the child does, he will be held accountable for it. But if the child does something good, which the father or the mother taught him when he was young, they will be rewarded for that. And Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best. And with this, we come to the conclusion of our program. Until we meet next time, next week, I leave you, insha'Allah. Fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allah is my heart's speech. Your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test.